Hi everyone! So Elon Musk's purpose in life is about learning how to collaborate with others and viewing other people's opinions as equally as valuable as his own, even when they contradict his own opinions. Because the North Node is about our purpose in life and our life direction. And his North Node is in the 7th house, and the 7th house is about partnerships. And this can be partnerships in business and marriages. And Aquarius is the sign of originality and society. So having the North Node here means that he is here to learn how to cooperate with others, and life pushes him in this direction. So having Mars right next to his North Node, it challenges the North Node. So Mars is the planet of action, drive, desire, and conflict. So this can mean that people coming into his life are going to supercharge his North Node. And that may not be always very pleasant. It can be challenging, but it doesn't necessarily have to be, because Mars is the activator. And when you are in your purpose with the 7th house here, you're going to see these challenging periods of time or people to come into your life as a fresh breath of air and giving you another type of perspective on life, and understanding that being cooperative with these people and learning how to manage different types of people is going to help you to move towards what you want in life and your mission. So we can see this has not always been easy for Elon, because many of his business relationships have resulted in a fallout. For example, he's been in multiple businesses where he has been replaced as a CEO, even in businesses that he have helped build, and people aren't really necessarily going along with everything that he wants, and that can be a challenge for him because he's coming from the South Node here, and his South Node is in Leo in the 1st house. So the South Node is what we are most comfortable with, it's what we are familiar with, but it's also what we are moving away from. And having that in Leo, which is about creativity, leadership, and self-expression, in the 1st house, the house of the self, and how we are perceived by others, this can be very, I would say almost dramatic, because Leo here wants to lead, it wants to do everything by itself, and it might not trust what other people can accomplish, and it wants to put its name onto things. It wants validation for its accomplishments and achievements. So this can create a tension, because this is what he is familiar with, and we can see this through him wanting to put his name on Tesla, for example, because in the beginning, the co-founders of Tesla, they started the company about a year before Elon Musk got involved, and he came in with a huge investment and he worked that company off the ground, but he wasn't a co-founder. And he actually went into legal battle with these people. And the turnout of that was him being recognized as a co-founder of Tesla. So no matter if you believe this was fair or not, it means that it was very important to him to be considered as the co-founder of Tesla and to have that name. And that's Leo here in the first house, expressing itself through the South Node. But what's interesting with this is that he's meant to move away from that type of thinking into his North Node, because the North Node is where he's being pushed in life toward. And this is the lesson of learning how to collaborate and seeing other people's opinions and ideas, again, as equally as important as his own, and recognizing that other people could potentially change his ideas and actually evolve them. And having vertex here as well, close to his Mars, means that this brings faded events and relationships into the mix. Because vertex is about fate. And having that so close to Mars and the North Node means that faded relationships are going to impact his North Node and his mission. So next up, we also get a very important placement, and that is his Neptune being in Sagittarius in the 5th house. So Neptune is a very dreamy, imaginative planet that dissolves boundaries. It's even connected to spirituality. And Sagittarius is about expansion and travel, philosophy, truth-seeking. And the 5th house is about creativity and self-expression. So as you can see here, this is a very creative and dreamy type of energy that wants to find out what's out there. It wants to find out the truth. And it's got very big dreams and goals. And that is actually being charged even more with Jupiter being conjunction with Neptune. So this intertwines their energies being so close together. Because Jupiter is the expansive and optimistic planet. So these dreams are very big and they can even be outerworldly. And as we know, that is true for Elon Musk. But there's a tense energy here going on, as you can see with this red bold line. And that is between his Neptune and his Saturn. So this means that they are in opposition to each other. And Saturn is kind of the opposite to this energy. Because Saturn is the hard worker, it's disciplined. And it takes time for Saturn to evolve something, but it's stable. And having Saturn here in the 11th house in Gemini brings out a different type of energy, because the 11th house is about groups, society, and friends. And Gemini brings this social and communicative energy to it as well. But Saturn isn't really comfortable being here, because Saturn is mature and it wants to have few relationships in the 11th house that are long-term and not superficial. And it can feel lonely because in childhood this can be expressed through feeling like you're different from others and taking your time to find people who you feel like are worth investing in. So this energy in opposition to Neptune creates a tension between this Saturn practical, disciplined energy and Neptune's dreamy and expansive energy with Sagittarius. So a part of him wants to expand and dream big and develop all of these dreams, but Saturn gives him a reality check, because In the 11th house, this means that relationships within his organizations are going to be, I don't want to say hindering him, but they are going to have to be treated with a realistic outlook of what they can perform and who they are as people. Because if we let Neptune with Jupiter here roam free, this vision is going to be much more important than the people that are helping him create this in reality. And this can become a problem if this energy isn't handled properly. And Saturn can also actually help Neptune to make these dreams into reality, because Saturn again is the hard worker. But it needs to be considered with respect to the people working alongside with him. And also it needs to be respected as working in a way that doesn't bring that Neptune energy into chaos mode. So we can see this with Elon working a lot and maybe even too much for reality to catch up with these dreams. Because these dreams don't wait. And Saturn here is telling him to give it some time and give it some thought and responsibility. But Neptune doesn't want that. So that can mean that balancing these energies can become crucial in developing these dreams into reality in a safe way in regards to himself, but also the people he's working with. So next up, I really have to highlight his third house, because the third house is about learning, the mind, communication. And here he got 3 very important placements. They are probably the most intense placements in astrology. So Uranus is the planet of disruption, sudden insights. It's about surprises. And having that in the third house means that he wants to learn a lot of different things and fast. So this can help his mind be more inventive. But he has his Uranus in Libra. So Libra is the sign of social harmony and balance and relationships. And Uranus here is disrupting these harmonies that Libra represents. And this means that he can come off as unique and rebellion, I would say, to others, unconventional. And that can become difficult at times, but it can also help him again with learning and coming up with ideas that are new. But Lilith being so close to Uranus here means that it brings even more of that rebellion streak to him, because Lilith is the planet of raw emotions. It's our rebellion, and it sits here in the third house, still in Libra. So this makes him having different thoughts, but not being afraid of sharing them and not shying away from having them. He wants to express them through his mind and his way of learning. And it can even further drive that Libra out of balance. But it can also help him with his inventions. And Pluto is the planet of transformation. So here we have an obsessive type of learning, because Pluto is deep and it's intense. And having that in the third house means that he can become obsessive about a specific topic that he's interested in. And that expresses itself through Virgo, which is a sign of practicality, improvement. It's detail-oriented. So Pluto here, it's like someone sitting in a library all day studying about a topic that no one else knows about. That's how this energy expresses itself. But another very telling placement or aspect for Elon Musk is his Mars squaring his Jupiter. So that's the dotted line right there. And Mars is again about action, it's about drive and desire. And Jupiter is the expansive and optimistic planet. And a square creates a tense energy flowing between them. And this is risk-taking. This is huge risk-taking. Because Mars wants to act and Jupiter expands the energy. And the energy is intense, it's a square. So this can mean that these large, huge risks can be beneficial, but they can also come with some big consequences. So sometimes they may go well, but a lot of times, even though they go well, it means that someone may get hurt in the process if this energy isn't handled in a way that it needs to be, because this energy wants him to take risks, but it doesn't want him to just go wild and do things without thinking. That's when someone gets hurt in the process. And yeah, that can explain a lot of his decisions in business, because all of his career he's been making these huge risks, and he's putting all of his finances into the next big thing. And obviously this has helped him with his success a lot, but it has also come with some pretty big consequences when it comes to relationships and other people, which again is something he learns about in this life. And I also want to say that when he learns these lessons around relationships, they can actually help him in his mission to do whatever he wants in life that is beneficial to others as well. It's not until he learns how to collaborate with others that may not be on the same wavelength as him that he's going to develop a more sustainable way of looking at businesses, as we talked about, and realizing that he needs to let go of that Leo energy to a certain extent, not completely, but to a certain extent, in order to move towards his mission. And that's actually going to help him. So the last thing I want to acknowledge here is his Mars being so close to the North Node, as we discussed earlier, because one of his biggest missions in life is to go to Mars. And having the North Node here, which is his life purpose, his life direction, is very symbolically interesting being so close to Mars, because that may be that he's going to Mars, or his purpose is to move closer to the ability to go to Mars. it doesn't mean it has to be that way, because, for example, I also have my Mars conjunct North Node, and I don't plan on going to Mars anytime soon, but it's just a side note I found interesting. So yeah, that's what I believe is most important to learn when it comes to his fate in life and his life direction. And I almost forgot about his Mercury. So that's also very important, because his Mercury is here in Cancer in the first house. And it's actually squaring his Uranus. And that is the line right there. So this creates a tense energy between these destructive and sudden insights and his Mercury, which is his mind and thoughts and communication. So this can explain to us why he gives us a very original and disruptive thoughts and perspectives, because the first house is again how he appears. So he can appear as this unconventional figure because of his Uranus squaring his Mercury, but it can also help him get a lot of ideas. So he might get a lot of sudden ideas that felt like they come from nowhere into his mind. And in Cancer, this creates someone who is a very good storyteller. They can understand the emotional language that helps him providing a story that we all can relate to. But Cancer here can also make him sensitive to other people's words and opinions of him. And Cancer is the sign of emotions, creativity, intuition. So that means that language and his thoughts are very related to his emotional world. So this can explain why he sometimes acts emotionally when he isn't respected or heard as he wants to be with Mercury. So these were the most important placements and aspects that I believe can explain his fate and where he's going in life. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you in the next video. Bye!